when God hears their prayers and their cries for deliverance, for freedom, God sends Moses. And Moses comes with pandemic, with plagues. It turns out that the plagues and the pandemic was what was needed for the Israelites to be set free. There was something that God did in those things that made Pharaoh to say, okay, go. They were the catalyst to bring this freedom. The Bible says that nothing new happens under the sun. Everything that was will happen again. Solomon speaks of this. So what we saw with the Israelites, we are seeing again now. The Israelites were in slavery for 400 years. Slavery began in America about 400 years ago. And there has still been remnants of racism that have continued, even though slavery ended, even though the Jim Crow laws ended. There has still been racism, systemic racism that has been left over since 400 years ago here today. There is still an element of freedom that must come to the Black community. Amen. And God has heard the prayers and cries. Amen. And the time is now, after 400 years, just as He did it before. The plagues came in with Moses' time, and the last plague, the people had to be locked inside their homes as the angel of death went by. Right after they were locked inside is when Pharaoh said, go. We have been locked inside. We, meaning the whole world. Wow, when does that happen? The whole world going through something at the same moment. When have we ever experienced such unity and togetherness? The devil intended this pandemic for harm, but God intended it for good. As what Joseph said, his brothers intended throwing him in the pit for harm, but God intended it for good. God needed to get us united and together in something. God needed to bring us away from our distractions and our own personal lives. We go here, there, everywhere. I'm so focused on my personal life. He needed to cut all of that away and have us united on one thing. And in the same way, He needed to give us a heart for justice. That's right, you need to be prepared to have a heart for justice to happen, because when there is injustice, you can't sit idly by to make the justice come to pass. You can't be casual. You can't go on with your life as if nothing's happening and just pray the justice would come. There is action that needs to take place, and there is compassion and empathy and a holy anger of God as Jesus flipped the tables in the temple. There needs to be a passion for injustice to end. Amen. Inside of you. God has to build that inside of you. And there is something amazing that God used for good in this pandemic of us being stuck in this hard time. Every one of us was frustrated. Every one of us had this pent up anger, frustration. We had plans that were canceled. We didn't want to be locked inside. We had a heart of anger, of injustice of the pandemic. We were angry at that for stopping our lives, all of us. God was preparing this heart to do something about injustice inside of us already. And God had this plan to reveal, to expose the injustice that is happening in this nation against the Black community. He turned what the enemy went for bad and used it for good. He made that video to go viral. He made that video to be filmed so people can see. So white people can see. So people across the whole world can see and say, this is enough. Enough is enough. Amen. And there was like fuel that was inside of us all that was needed to light a fire inside of us to come with this passion and this energy and this action and this conviction of enough is enough. Amen. We're going to do something. We can no longer sit idly by. White people, we have to join and unite with our Black brothers and sisters. Amen. And say enough is enough. Yes. God used this pandemic, the unity and the anger inside, the fire inside, to put it to action. Imagine if you're in good moods, you see something and it's so easy to look past it and be like, well, I'm busy on my vacation, or I'm busy with my amazing dream that's going on. That's too bad that happened. Right? It's so much easier to do that. But God is so good to prepare us to not miss this moment, to not miss this end of racism that He is doing. He needs us. He was so good to prepare us and to make us ensure that we would not miss it. So, as Pharaoh said, go to the Israelites. God is saying now, go to racism. Get out. It's time for my people to be free. It's time for true equality. It's time for every single person on this earth, white people, to see every person, black people included, as equal. This is what God is doing right now, and nothing can stop it.
Amen.